8 days after I documented Skagway's historic ship signature wall, part of it was destroyed forever. This may be the last full documentation of the wall before the damage occurred.
About to leave, already packing, come with me, I'm not really asking, we'll get away to a place where we don't know.
On June 23rd at about 6:30 in the morning, a rock slide occurred above the Discovery Princess at the White Pass Railroad dock. In addition to the damage that the rock wall suffered, there was also some damage incurred by the Discovery Princess with some broken glass and rock strikes, as well as a near miss on the dock by some people who happened to be standing nearby. Unfortunately, an unknown amount of the historic ship marks were destroyed as well. On board the Celebrity Solstice, about a week before the rock slide, we made landfall at Skagway early on June 14th. The cold, wet, and very windy weather that morning did not stop most of the passengers from debarking the ship and exploring the area. That morning, our ship had a berth directly behind the Majestic Princess. There were also 2 other ships in port that morning, berthed at another harbor. My estimate is that as many as 8,000 visitors came ashore into Skagway that morning. I should probably explain my interest in Skagway's ship marks. First, a little bit of background. I was in Skagway about 7 years ago, and at that time I became absolutely fascinated with the ship signature wall. My writer's mind and a piece of my romantic heart married together with my imagination to create stories about the people who had left these marks behind. Who were they? Where had they come from? Where were they going after they left this harbor? The only thing I knew for sure was that day they painted on that rock was probably the first day they had ever been in Skagway, Alaska. Many of the marks were even left long before Alaska became a state in 1959. The earliest ship mark is from 1928, leaving almost 100 years history on that granite slope. When I left Skagway that first time, I have to admit that many times over the years I've thought about that rock wall, knowing that eventually it would feature somewhere in my writing. A little cafe with great wine and grilled octopus in the walled city of Rhodes, the Buddhist temple in the Japanese city of Kamakura, where I had been able to walk inside the statue of the Buddha, and Skagway's ship's signature wall, all things I've tucked away to use later to weave into my characters' lives as I create their adventures while I am also creating my own. There are marks closer to the ground, some that are easier to read, some that are newer, and some that are very high up on the cliffside. In some places, the marks have been there so long that trees have started to grow through them in cracks in the rock face. And not all of the marks found on the wall are authentic ship marks. There are unfortunately some obvious signs of graffiti on the wall as well. While I am very interested in the people who left these ship signatures, I'm also very intrigued about the people who have entered Skagway Harbor in the past. How many thousands or hundreds of thousands of ships must have docked right here over the centuries? How many people, like me, debarked in this small harbor to explore this giant land? Were there stories once of success, heartbreak, ruin, or love? Have these rocks been witness to happy reunions, tearful goodbyes, or mostly just the wide-eyed wonder of travelers like me? How many people from across the world, through time and history, have also seen these same ship marks that I saw that day? Our unorganized and unofficial brotherhood and sisterhood of those who have sailed to Skagway must reach across the globe. Don't worry, there aren't any meetings, and the only dues are making the trip and then surviving the cold winds coming off the mountains above the pass. I am glad that I had the opportunity to document the signature wall before it was damaged, but I do wish that I had done a better job recording the individual ship marks in more detail. And as an avid cruiser, I'll leave you with one more view of one of my favorite ship signature marks. In July of 2021, after the COVID lockdowns and the near decimation of the entire cruise industry, Celebrity Millennium debarked passengers at this port for the first time after the restart. As I recorded the wall, the day that I visited, almost a year later after this Millie mark was painted, I stood there for some time thinking about how impactful and meaningful this ship mark really was. While marks were traditionally made only during the ship's first trip to the area, I knew that what the Millie had left on the hillside that day was right in line with the spirit of the tradition. And finally, you can also see from my departing Skagway video that the hillside above the Princess Berth has had landslide issues in the past. Hopefully something will be done to secure the hillside while also preserving the remaining historic marks.
Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out.